Stoke-on-Trent has a rich industrial heritage, centred around the many pottery firms that once plied their trade here. The Etruria Industrial Museum has a restored mill where once cattle bones were ground into fine powder to add to the clay, which then produced bone china. Well, thanks to the hard work of volunteers and enthusiasts, the Jessie Shirley site and its workshops and buildings, many of them are still here. And it is now the only steam-powered working potter's mill in the world. Many houses in Stoke were built for the pottery workers. Who knows, maybe the property I'm off to see was one of them. So I'm here to see a very traditional two-bed mid-terrace. Guide price, 42,000 quid. So, what is on offer? Well, a nice, bright, open plan space, which is what we like to see. Obviously, you've got central heating, which is quite good news, and this nice bay window, double glazing though, which is keeping out the noise from the road, which is good. Through here, obviously you've got some kind of extension at the back there. We'll explore that in a second, but something that immediately strikes you when you come through the door, the staircase. Now, I like open plan, as you know, and this staircase is halfway there. Not quite far enough as far as I'm concerned. If you got rid of this edge piece, redesigned the stairs so that was open, and then it had open treads, as long as they met building regulations and safety kind of guidelines, that would then open the whole thing up. So I think it's a halfway house, which doesn't quite work. So that needs to be addressed, as does this. Obviously, some signs of water coming down, my guess, something to do with the central heating system, maybe. So a few things to look at, but as a starting point, pretty good. So at the back of the property, a very standard type of extension, basically single-storey housing, very traditionally. The kitchen and further through to the bathroom, we'll look at that in a minute. The kitchen itself, limited in terms of what you could do with this kind of space, but it does work, and it's obviously freed up that rear room, which would originally have housed the kitchen to be that living space. But bathroom doesn't look to be in too bad condition, and at least it's a half-decent size. This little area here, useful for storage, I guess. It all wants a bit of updating. I mean, you come in here, it's all this dark wood units that just don't work. You spend a bit of money here, sort out the kitchen, you know, and just bring this place up to scratch. Upstairs, there are two good-sized bedrooms, one to the front and one to the back. There's what looks like a new boiler in the back bedroom, so perhaps that water damage downstairs was caused by the old one. What does this mid-terrace have to offer in the way of an outside space? Well, not much, to be honest. Well, the rear of the property, this little area and this very sizable extension which houses the kitchen and the bathroom. Now, it should state in the legal pack that the correct permissions were applied for when that was built, but it's always worth checking. Little courtyard area here, which is always nice, and then, something which is even more useful, a rear access via this little road. You could potentially park here, I guess, or keep it as a little bit of an amenity space. So, what are the real plus points of this two-bed terraced house? Time to hear from an agent from the auctioneers that sold the property.
This is a great buy-to-let property because of the location to start with. It's a great area for tenants. It's close to the edge of town. The property does need a fair bit of work doing to it, but I don't think it'll cost too much to do that.
However, there is a slight problem to consider.
It's actually an area that's very well known for former mining, and this property in particular itself has got a mining report which does display that there is a former mine shaft to the rear of the property within 20 metres of the boundary.
Oh dear, but don't panic. Looking around the exterior of the house and the neighbouring properties, there are no signs of movement in the brickwork. So it would appear that the ground is fairly stable. But do those historic mine workings affect the valuation with a ceiling price?
Due to the mining issue with the property, I would expect it to resale at around £65,000 to £70,000.
OK, and a rental value?
I would expect this to rent out for £450 per calendar month.
Well, intrinsically, a good, solid house, but obviously the proximity of those mining works does throw up a few cause for concern. So definitely check that out before you buy. Let's see who went to the auction and bought it, though, when it went under the hammer.
This is a two-bedroom mid-terrace house. It is in need of some modernisation. The guide has been reduced to 37,000. We've had loads and loads of interest on this property. 37,000. Bid me now. £37,000 is bid. Thank you. 38. Can I say 39?
A two-way battle developed for this lot, with the price creeping up in £500 increments. We rejoin at £49,000.
£49,000. Who's got another 500 for it? Or are we all done? At 49 and a half, back in. 50,000. 50,000 and a half. I've sat here all night for this. 50 and a half, 51. Are we all done then? If so, 50,500 once. 50,500 twice. Third and final call, 50,500. You bought it, well done.
And delighted with their purchase were Alexandra and Richard. Just why did this young couple pay £50,500 for this mid-terraced house? I met them to find out.
We go back to the little, holding out for days.
Alexandra, Richard, great to see you both.
Good to see you too.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Before we go any further, who's this then?
This is Apollo.
Hello, Apollo.
Little sleepy
How
boy.
old's he?
He's nearly 2.
Right, fantastic. Well, in fact, he's got his high-vis jacket on.
Safety first.
Superb. Tell me why you wanted to buy this house.
Well, so basically, we want to start our investment portfolio. We sold a couple of flips down south and we've relocated back to Stoke-on-Trent.
So a flip is where you buy it and sell it on.
That's right.
Quickly.
And then basically we thought we need to invest our money to gain us some back, more than the bank, so we decided let's buy some properties, and we've just bought 2 properties. This is one of 2.
OK, great. Both around this area?
Yeah, both in Stoke-on-Trent.
Why Stoke-on-Trent?
Well, typically it's not a bad area to invest, but it's where my hometown is. Alexandra and I moved up from south where we met, and it's just to be close for family and investment area.
OK. What prompted this move to doing property investment now, then? You've obviously done the flip strategy. What's driving what you're doing? Is it something to do with little fella?
Well, sort of. We both have a background in the construction industry, so I'm an architect.
Oh.
Richard is a heating engineer with a background in trades as well. So we did the flips in Essex ourselves. So we added value to the properties and sold them for a profit. So we thought we'd reinvest in a strategy that gives us cash flow.
OK.
Yeah, so the rent versus the house prices in Stoke-on-Trent stacks up really well for investments.
What was it about this particular property, though? You could have chosen lots. Why this one?
So Birch's Head is a really popular area for rent, so we were hoping to get a family to move into this house, and particularly with the house, we like that it's open plan.
Yeah.
So we don't need to take any walls down, it's nice and bright, and it's a good sized 2-bed.
Yeah. And obviously, it's got central heating already. You mentioned you're a heating engineer.
Yeah, that's what I do.
But we do have a bit of a leak.
So fortunately, the leak has been stopped now.
Right.
It's on the boiler, and for some reason, it must have started a leak, and with it being an empty property, you can see the damage it's caused. So that's been stopped. It's not damp or anything like that, but it's very, very straightforward to rectify.
Were you a bit disappointed that the looks like the central heating system
Already been
has
done.
one?
It's not very old, so yeah. I can work with it, it's good.
OK. So tell me what you're going to do to it, then.
Right, so most of the work will be cosmetic. So we're replacing the floor with a nice sort of oak flooring. Then we're going to redecorate throughout. We'll pick a nice accent colour for the walls, make it look really modern. We'll replace the fireplace, and then new carpets, new kitchen, new bathroom.
OK.
And it's ready to go.
What kind of finish are you going for in this place?
So we want to achieve the highest possible standards so that we can attract the best possible tenants and the highest rent that this street can achieve, which is about £450, we believe. So everything will be done really nice. I'll work on the interior design because we want our tenants to feel that this is their home and be proud of it and look after it and hopefully stay longer.
And how much of that work can you do yourself?
90%.
Yeah, 90% of it.
OK, that's great. So you're both quite handy as well as having,
Well,
obviously, architects.
It's Apollon and I, really, mainly.
Well, exactly. You've got to help it out. What kind of help do you think Apollo is going to give?
Demolition.
Enthusiasm, I think. Aren't you, pal?
Now, that's a very unusual but brilliant name. How did that come about?
So Apollo is the god of the sun, and because I'm Greek, I wanted him to have a Greek name. He's also the god of music and poetry, so it's an artistic name as well.
And at the moment, he's the god of making a mess.
Yeah,
Yes,
causing
he'll grow
trouble.
into it.
It's going to be a long, long time before Pocket Rocket Apollo can swing a hammer or wallpaper a room. But thankfully, Mum and Dad seem more than capable. Armed with a budget of just £6,000, Alexandra and Richard plan to have the house ready to let out in 4 to 6 weeks. So one issue that was flagged up was the proximity to mines, in particular mine shafts. What do you know about all that?
So when we received the legal pack for this property, we saw that it was within 5 metres of a mine shaft, which is probably why it was in the auction in the first place.
Right.
But we have had our survey done, and the structural engineer said there's no damage.
Although that does potentially bring up problems if you're trying to borrow money, right?
That's right. So a high street lender wouldn't remortgage this property, but there are specialists that we're aware of that we could go to once this is refurbished and get a mortgage for probably less percentage.
Okay. So listen, before Sprocket gets a little bit bored, we'll just wish you all the very best.
Thank you.
Very much.
Have a great job doing this place up. High five. High five. Yeah, it's a good boy.
Yes.
Good luck with it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, Richard and Alexandra certainly seem to have some very clear ideas, but a pretty tight budget and timescale. Still, with the help of little Apollo, I'm sure they will achieve it, or maybe not. You can find out later in the show. Time for a trip back to Stoke, where I saw a traditional 2-bed terrace that had already had some modifications to the layout. Something that immediately strikes you when you come through the door, the staircase. Now, I like open plan, as you know, and this staircase is halfway there, which doesn't quite work. Apart from that, it was pretty much what you would expect from this type of house. The bathroom was downstairs off the kitchen, which is often the case. And upstairs were 2 bedrooms, although it looked like a new boiler had sprung a leak at some point. Good thing then that buying the property for £50,500 was heating engineer Richard and his architect wife Alexandra. They had previously developed houses further south, but hoped this could be the start of a rental portfolio back on Richard's home turf around Stoke. And if successful, maybe even benefit son Apollo down the road. You're both quite handy as well as having, obviously, architecture.
It's Apollo and I, really, mainly.
Well, exactly. You've got to help it out. What kind of help do you think Apollo is going to give?
Demolition.
Enthusiasm, I think. Aren't you, Paul?
And you know what? They weren't kidding. He's more like Thor with that hammer than Apollo. But with his assistance, they hope to have this house modernised and ready to rent in 4 to 6 weeks' time. 6 months later...
I can show you something, something, something. Look at me, look at me, look at me.
It looks more than ready to let because someone has moved in and is calling it home.
Look at me, look at me, look at me.
It is looking good, thanks to a fresh bathroom suite with a grey colour scheme which carries on through the whole of downstairs. Upstairs in the bedrooms, the fresh and modern look is also apparent. And the interior design of the house throughout isn't something that Richard and Alexandra have taken lightly.
So the style that we wanted to go for is something very clean, modern, contemporary, that would appeal to the younger tenants that we envisioned living here. So we've gone for bright, airy spaces, light flooring, a white kitchen, and kept everything really sort of bright.
Richard and Alexandra have created a very welcoming home that has been tenanted now for 4 months. They completed the work in just 7 weeks, and Alexandra has a keen eye for a good deal.
So the first thing I did was go out bargain hunting, just like we did when we bought the property. So I went to a few stores that had end-of-line sales, and I purchased this lovely oak laminate flooring. I went online to some auction sites and I found a kitchen which was in stunning condition, and also all the sanitary ware for the bathroom. Even though they're second-hand, they look really good. So yeah, I'm really pleased considering how little money we spent on the kitchen, and it's turned out really well.
And just how much do you think they spent on the kitchen? A few £1,000s maybe? Well, the answer might surprise you.
So we spent £200 for all the kitchen units, the sink, the hob and the oven. And yeah, then we paid a bit extra for brand new tiles, a really nice worktop, and yeah, it's come together nicely.
'Cause it's all in the value.
Alexandra really does know how to pick up a bargain. The whole kitchen cost £800 and you wouldn't know it. Although they were planning on doing most of the work themselves, so that must have saved them a few quid too.
Richard did a lot of the work, but not as much as we'd originally anticipated. So our business took off and we decided it was better to bring specialist trades in to do a lot of the work. As an architect, I was involved in all the design and picking the materials. And of course, Apollo came on site whenever it was safe to do so with his laser and his tape measure, making sure that everything was right.
Yes, son Apollo might have been making sure everything was meeting his high standards, but as he is only 2, it'll be some time yet before he's up for the challenge of helping his parents stick to renovation budgets.
So originally we'd planned to spend up to £6,000, but that was with Richard being heavily involved. We ended up spending £8,500, and that was primarily because we found some extra bits that needed doing. So we replaced the roof on the bay window, we decided to put a new window in the bathroom, and there were a few other upgrades that we decided to go for. So some extra bits that we really thought would add value.
So that overspend takes their total investment here to £59,000. Has it been worth it as they hoped? Well, we asked an agent from the auction house which sold it to come back and see the results.
This is my second visit to the property, and I do feel that the buyer has made some lovely changes to the property itself. The presentation is really, really nice. I love the kitchen. I really do like the lighting. They've done a very, very nice job of it. It'd be great for any tenant just to move straight into.
That's definitely proven to be the case. So the renovation work is a hit, but is it a successful money-making venture, considering their £59,000 outlay?
So this property come to the market for resale, I would be looking at £65,000 to £70,000. Should it come on the market for rental, I would be looking at £450 per calendar month.
We took the lead from the estate agents and marketed the property for £475 originally, thinking that we'd get £450. But in the end, the tenants offered £550. So yeah, we were pleasantly surprised that people were prepared to pay more, which in my mind shows that if you pay attention to detail, create an inviting and warm colour scheme and something that really stands out, people are prepared to pay more.
That £550 rental figure means that Alexandra and Richard are getting a healthy 11% yield. And the good quality finish and thoughtful design should hopefully mean a happy long-term tenant. Alexandra and Richard are renovating even more properties in the area now, so clearly know what they're doing.
So my advice to any developer trying to do the same sort of refurbishments would be just think outside the box, be resourceful, and see if there's ways that you didn't expect where you can save money. So as far as I'm concerned, I couldn't possibly let that kitchen go into a skip. It would be such a shame. So now it's been given a new life and this property looks great as a result. We're just really looking forward to doing more of these projects. And yeah, it's been quite exciting. So we just want more.